Hello, I'm Paul Donovan, and at the end of August I'll be taking up a new role as Chief Economist at UBS Wealth Management. In the meantime, I'm on gardening leave, and I'm bored. As a result, I've decided to do a series of short videos looking at some of the key issues in the global economy today, starting with this video on the myth of global inflation. On the surface, the idea of global forces driving inflation is quite compelling. We all know the importance of the oil price. Over the last 30 years, globalization has increased by leaps and bounds. At the same time, global inflation has fallen. Unfortunately, causation and correlation are not the same thing. If global trade was responsible for lower inflation rates, two things must be true. First, the correlation of core inflation rates around the world should be high. And second, there should be a sharp drop in inflation for those countries that saw the biggest increase in exposure to global trade. Sadly, neither of these things is true. In fact, when we look at the detail of inflation, we find that in a developed economy, about 70% of inflation is due to domestic labour costs, which is, of course, independent of what's going on with globalisation and trade. So why have global inflation rates come down in sync? Well as globalisation increasing, the last 30 years saw a dramatic increase in the number of independent central banks, running local policies for local inflation problems. Why does this all matter? It matters because right now the United States is seeing rising inflation pressures. In fact, most US inflation numbers are at or above their 20-year averages. The Federal Reserve cannot rely on global forces to offset these domestic inflation concerns. What's happening with European or Asian inflation is not going to change the outlook for the United States. Inflation is not a global phenomenon. Inflation is, and always has been, a local issue.